Elizabeth, Harry, why do people who eat a standard mixed diet seem to tolerate more that food than the ones that have already switched to carnivore, keto, and all that? It's just a gut microbiome. That's all it is. You've changed your gut microbiome. You down regulated certain enzymatic pathways and up regulated others, and now you don't have the same tolerance. It's like any like poison. If you take a big bolus of poison, it can kill you. If you take a small amount every time and just increase it. Sorry, there's planes flying over. Yeah. So I've basically would say that the key reason is that when you take these things, it's like as well with tolerating alcohol. When you don't drink as much alcohol for a very long time, then you have a drink of alcohol and you go, ooh, you know, it's same sort of effect. When you drink the same poison or eat the same poison every day, you get a certain tolerance to it. It's all it is. So like anything, it's like exercise. If you do it every day, you've got a tolerance. If you go really hard and you haven't done exercise for some time, you'll know it because you'll get an injury and you'll feel, oh shit, the body's just not ready. You're trying to push it to do something that you haven't done for a long time. It's the same thing if you're not eating certain foods. It goes, but you can have a steak anytime. You can stop eating steaks and have steak. You're not going to get any adverse reaction. That should tell you something. What's a species appropriate food and what you can tolerate. So there is a difference. Elizabeth, also the tribes like Inuit get sick sooner than people eating shit. It's not supposed to be there. My mitochondrial function is optimal regarding for those that have been. It's really that. Look, let me put it this way. If you take a look at all tribal people when they've actually looked at it, like the Hadza, the Inuit, the Maasai, especially the Samburu, the Sand people, the Kalahari, the Bushmen. And this is important, actually. I've just thought about it. The Bushmen of the Kalahari, the early, like Homo sapien sapien, if you go right back in history, all the Africans and everybody around the world are part of one group that broke away from the group that the Sand people are. So the Sand people have some of the earliest genetics of humans, of Homo sapiens sapiens. That means from back going into the glacial periods, which is really important. They have some of the lowest, amyloid and the genes, for amylase, to break down glucose and all that in their mouth and their genetics for that. And when they go on a mixed diet, they really get rapidly sick. They're in these shanty towns in Namibia and other areas like that's gone downhill like that. Where the humans that broke away from that, from that early Homo sapiens sapiens, the ones that remain in Africa and the ones that left Africa, and so the ones that remained in Africa their skin got darker because the Sand people are just sort of more browny, and all that. That's what humans were way, way, way back. And Europeans and all that, they interacted with Denisovans and Neanderthals, and they got the white skin from them anyway. And indeed, that's what became pronounced within their genome. And so these people have the amylase sort of capacity, which is further reduced, which means that they have a lot of difficulty dealing with carbohydrates in comparison. That's why they get sicker compared to the rest of us. We've had some tillage, because really we have to talk about tillage. Up until tillage, in the interglacial period, we probably were consuming small amounts of here or there wild berries and stuff like that, and some, but and some tubers seasonally, which we just used to suck out the glucose and throw away because you didn't consume the fiber. The Hudser still do that. They sort of suck the stuff out and throw it away. Mary Ruddock saw them because she was actually going on hunts with them and all that. She saw them occasionally having these treats because that's all it is, not their main food. It's a treat. And the ability, the amylase, the ability to basically break down glucose is reduced in these populations because that's how humans were. But in the last 3,500 years ago, where tillage was sort of considered started, and add another 2,000 in the modern era, we're talking about approximately 5.5+ years of adaptation to grains, to glucose and stuff like that, to higher amounts, which means that you know the those the capacity to break down is much higher, and much higher in populations close to the tropics and that have consumed a lot of carbohydrates in what we call civilization and tillage times. So yeah, they can tolerate much better. It doesn't mean it's healthy for them, but they can tolerate it much better.